Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole here with another video. Today I'm going to show you how you can change your profile on your block splitter or your axe. Relatively easy, either using a rag or a piece of angle iron or both. So I tend to use a little bit of angle iron. I find out that that works okay. It's set at a particular height. What you can do, you can easily mark your axe at different stages. So you can measure that, and you can do that on both sides with a texter. And so that we don't scratch all the face, we'll just put a little rag up to here. We'll put the angle iron. Now, depends where we put the angle iron. I want to start filing away here. So we need a fairly large angle. So, you know, you can measure it if you want and put a mark like I said. So in this particular case, we will mark it at the back, because then what we can do, when we do the other side, we can mark it up the other side. So the whole idea now that you place the file down like that, you hold it exactly in the middle and you go backwards and forwards. And you should be able to see all those iron file-ins there. I think you can see those. We'll zoom in so that you can see those iron file-ins relatively easily. See whether you can see them. They're everywhere. Look at them all. What we will do, so that you can see this working better, we'll actually mark this with blue texter. This is a great way to profile. Got to be careful using a grinder. You're liable to grind off way too much metal. So we'll just do that again. You can see that text is coming off already. Now you should be able to see all those iron file-ins there. They're everywhere, look at them all. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that we're going to bring this a little bit closer. And we're going to get a slightly different angle. So our beveled angle is gradual. Now, if you look closer, you see all those file-ins there. So we'll just do another angle, come in a little right on the edge. We'll see how that. Now we need to come a bit closer, so we'll come about here. Yeah, that's taken a bit off now. Needs a little bit more here. Make sure you've got a good file for this. Don't use some old beat up file. So we'll come down a little bit more. Now we're getting right near the edge, which is where I want it to be. That's not bad. That's not too bad there. I'll just have a look at that. See whether you can, how good you can see that. That's the side I'd done before. And we'll just bring you the side that I did. You can see those gouge marks that the file does. Now the reason, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the axe in the vise, and I'm going to get the file and slightly touch that edge up. Just be a little bit careful and a little bit slower. So that's what I want to do now. Getting the final edge on there. You could call that a micro bevel if you wanted to. That looks pretty good. We'll just check the other side. Now, one thing about a block splitter, the angle is not critical. As I've explained in the other videos, what is critical is the weight of this. You can have the sharpest, best angle possible, but if there's no weight behind it, it's not going to work good. This side's actually quite good. Very good. Yeah, that's really nice. Now that's actually quite sharp. Now you don't need log splitters or block splitters really sharp. Just see whether you can see that edge. A little bit hard to focus, hang on. It's pretty good. Just going to spend a little bit more time trying to get that angle. See if we can get down and see whether you can see that. I just want to try and get that angle a little bit more uniform. I'm just going to play around a little bit more. I'm only being a bit fussy here. Being a little bit fussy. But look, that's how the rag... Look, you can use a rag on its own. That's definitely a method that a lot of people do, where you just get the rag and you might fold it over like that. And you may fold it over a second time or third time and place, you'll get different angles on the rag. But I prefer to use the rag, and you can use different size angle lines. Look, you can use a block of timber, you can use anything you want. Anything that's going to elevate the file at the right angle. So it doesn't matter what you use, it's just that a rag is easy to use. So if you don't have a bit of angle line, just get yourself a bit of a rag and do it that way. You'll find out that it works quite good. And as I said, I'm going to get the oil stone, and I'll just give this a little off camera. I'm just going to touch this up and play around with it with a finer file, get it better. I'm a perfectionist, I guess, so I want to get it perfect, so I'll play around with it. I got the general shape, and that's what we're doing with the rag or the angle line, is getting the general shape. So if you get a bit of damage, you can always do it the way that I've just shown you. Get it back into the roughly what it looks like, what it should look like, and then just get a finer file and dress it up and get it nice and smooth, and it'll work fine. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Bye for now. Yeah, look, I just tested the splitter out on about 10 bits of timber, and the actual beveled angle, which was right on the edge there, originally was around about 65 degrees. I've got it to about 45 degrees, so I've changed it by about 20 degrees. But does it work any better? Not really. I really couldn't notice any difference, if there was any. I barely noticed it. Which brings me back to my point that the angle that you've got a block splitter on is not the most critical thing. The most critical thing is the weight. Where the angle becomes really important is if you've got a splitting axe like some of the Fiscus that are just over 1 kilo head weight. That's where it becomes really critical. And in that situation, Fiscus only use around about 30 degrees on that bevel right at the edge. So that's where it becomes critical. Now, the other thing that was interesting, and we'll have a bit of a look at it, you can actually see the brown stains on there where the wood really pushed, or where the splitter forced it open. You can see those brown marks there. Few up the side here, but not a lot. Most of it was all on that edge there. That's the edge that's doing the most. You can see it on there as well. Very little up on the side. So this part here is the part that does all the work. And that edge is quite sharp. So it's still sharp. I prefer it to be sharp because it really bites into the timber really good. Even though you're not cutting, the sharper it is, the easier it will go in. So that's just interesting that where the main force is there. So that's probably about it, profiling your block splitter. Now that I've got this slight radius on there, it wasn't as much as that, so I've profiled it with a slight radius. But look, is there any difference? Is there a big improvement? Not a lot, not a lot, very little. Hard to measure, really hard to measure, hard to gauge. I just believe that if the angle of the splitting wedge, and we're talking about this angle here, you know, if it's around the 60 degree mark, I'll just try and focus again. If it's around the 60 degree mark, this beveled angle here, it's definitely going to be harder to enter the wood. So, you know, if you can have it around 40 degrees, I think it's a great angle. But as I said, on the Fiscus splitting axis, it's round about 30 degrees. But on the Fiscus splitting maul, I think it's around 42 degrees. But because it's got so much weight behind it, it really doesn't make much difference. As I said, this angle here is not the most critical thing when you've got a bit of weight behind. This is 2.7 kilos in weight. I think it's about, what have I got? No, sorry, it's got a total, yeah, it's 2.7, but with the handle, it's got a total weight of 3.5 kilos. You can split something reasonably good about a foot in diameter, but it's going to take about 4 or 5 strikes to split. So get yourself a heavier one if possible, around the 3.7, go up another kilo. And that's the secret to splitting wood. The heavier it is, the easier it becomes. Initially, yes, it's harder to lift it up in the air and swing it, but you don't have to swing it as many times. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Bye for now.